there's something magical about growing older. With each year comes wisdom, confidence, and a deeper understanding of who you are. And just like your experiences, your style should reflect that richness, not hide it. But here's the truth many don't talk about: certain prints and patterns, while bold and trendy, can sometimes work against us as we age. They can distract from the natural elegance we carry or draw attention away from our best features. The goal isn't to chase youth, it's to enhance the grace we already possess. In this story, we're going to walk through 9 fashion choices that may be quietly aging you, and more importantly, what to wear instead. These are simple, smart changes that can help you feel more vibrant, refined, and true to yourself. So if you've ever stood in front of the mirror and felt like your outfit just wasn't doing you justice, this one's for you. Before we get started, I'd love it if you'd give this video a like. It helps me keep sharing important lessons. If you're not already subscribed, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on new videos. Also, if you like this video, write a 1 in the comments and a 0 if you don't, so I know what can be improved. So, here we go. 1. Neon and overly saturated colors. Years ago, Barbara, a vibrant 68-year-old from Arizona, shared something with me I'll never forget. She held up a lime green blouse from her closet and said, "I bought this to feel young, but every time I wear it, I feel like I'm trying too hard." And she was right. Neon colors, electric pinks, highlighter yellows, blazing oranges, may bring back memories of fun in our youth, but on mature skin, they often have the opposite effect. These shades can amplify redness, highlight wrinkles, and even cast harsh tones onto the face that weren't noticeable before. As we age, our skin naturally softens. And the colors we wear should reflect that same gentle refinement. Instead of chasing the brightness of neon, reach for soft pastels or deep, rich tones like plum, forest green, or navy. These shades create a beautiful contrast without overpowering your natural features. They illuminate the skin, bring out the warmth in your eyes, and make you look radiant, not reflective. Barbara eventually replaced that lime blouse with a soft lavender top. She told me, "It feels like it loves me back when I wear it." That's how clothes should feel, like they're working with you, not against you. 2. Camouflage and tie-dye prints. When Ruth turned 72, she received a birthday gift from her granddaughter, a colorful, oversized tie-dye hoodie. "It's what all the girls wear now," her granddaughter said proudly. Ruth smiled, touched by the gesture, and wore it the next day during a trip to the grocery store. But as she walked past the reflective glass doors, something about her reflection made her pause. The hoodie wasn't ugly, but it overwhelmed her. The loud mix of swirling colors felt chaotic, out of place, even cartoonish against her quiet confidence. "I looked like I was trying to sneak into a high school," she later joked to a friend. And in a way, she was right. Camouflage and tie-dye prints, once symbols of rebellion or laid-back style, have made their way into mainstream fashion with great force. But as we grow older, it becomes less about following every trend and more about expressing personal truth. These patterns, especially in bold, clashing colors, can appear overly casual or juvenile, working against the natural elegance and maturity that comes with age. They tend to blur the lines of the body, making the silhouette appear less defined, and the vibrancy can often clash with the softer tones of mature skin, drawing attention away from the face rather than toward it. What's more, patterns like camouflage were never designed to flatter, they were designed to hide. And while the intention in fashion may be different, the result is often the same, a pattern that distracts rather than enhances. Tie-dye, with its swirling randomness, carries a sense of youthful messiness. It can be fun in small doses or during a beach vacation, but worn as a main piece, it rarely complements the dignity and self-assurance that should be highlighted in later years. Instead of camouflage or tie-dye, consider prints that echo the beauty of nature, gentle florals, leaves, soft feathers, or patterns that resemble watercolor brush strokes. These evoke serenity and poise. They invite the eye to explore, not recoil. And most importantly, they allow the person wearing them to shine first, before the fabric even enters the conversation. Remember, the goal is not to retreat into dullness or invisibility, but to step into a style that respects who you are today. When your clothing reflects your grace rather than competes with it, you don't just look better, you feel more like yourself. That's the kind of confidence no trend can manufacture. 3. Loud geometric patterns. There's a certain confidence in wearing bold shapes, stripes that clash, triangles that crisscross, or zigzags that stretch from shoulder to hem. They catch the eye, make a statement, and once upon a time, you may have loved the way they stood out in a crowd. But as we enter our 60s, 70s, and beyond, that same statement can start to speak a little too loudly, and not always in the way we intend. Take Marian, for example. She was a former architect in her early 70s, and her love for design extended into her wardrobe. She was drawn to sharp lines and abstract shapes, especially in high-contrast colors, black and white squares, red and navy chevrons. "It feels like structure," she used to say. But over time, her friends gently noted that the pattern seemed to wear her, not the other way around. One day, she stood in front of a mirror wearing a blouse with huge geometric diamonds and realized something had changed, not in her taste, but in the way her body and face carried those designs. "The shirt entered the room before I did," she said quietly. Loud geometric patterns, especially those in clashing or high-contrast color schemes, can distort the body's proportions, making the silhouette appear boxy or unbalanced. The sharpness of the lines may pull focus away from your natural features and emphasize areas you'd rather not draw attention to. Worse, the wrong shape placed in the wrong spot, such as a large circle over the midsection or diagonal stripes across the bust, can unintentionally exaggerate curves or flatten out your figure altogether. That's not to say geometric patterns must be avoided entirely. Rather, the key is in moderation and refinement. Smaller scale patterns, softened edges, and more harmonious color combinations can still bring that sense of modern elegance without overwhelming your presence. Look for prints that feel more like brushstrokes than stencils, or designs that incorporate negative space for breathing room. Earthy tones, subdued blues, or soft charcoals can all offer the structure you love without making you feel like a walking optical illusion. As we age, we don't need our clothes to shop for us. We speak clearly enough on our own. Let your prints support your voice, not compete with it. After all, personal style isn't about making noise, it's about leaving a lasting impression that feels both confident and true. 4. Oversized polka dots. Polka dots have long held a place in fashion history, playful, nostalgic, and undeniably cheerful. But as with many things in life, size and placement matter more than we often realize. When it comes to prints, especially something as whimsical as polka dots, the difference between charming and childish can be just a few inches in diameter. Evelyn, a retired schoolteacher from Michigan, once pulled out a bright red dress covered in large white polka dots. "I wore this to my granddaughter's graduation," she said proudly. "I wanted to look festive." But as she looked back at the photos, she couldn't help but notice something off. The dress, which she hoped would add personality, seemed to swallow her whole. The oversized dots created a cartoonish effect, and not in a way that matched her poised, gentle energy. That's the problem with large polka dots. They demand attention in a way that can feel disproportionate, especially on mature bodies. Instead of enhancing your features, they can dominate the frame, pulling focus from your face and creating awkward breaks in your silhouette. Large dots over the bust or hips can create unflattering emphasis, while symmetrical patterns that once looked fun now appear exaggerated, even theatrical. Smaller dots, on the other hand, have a timeless quality. When spaced well and paired with calming tones, think navy with white, soft blush with ivory, or charcoal with dusty blue, they add a sense of movement and grace. They nod to classic femininity without drifting into costume territory. More importantly, they highlight rather than compete with your natural beauty. Fashion at this stage of life should feel refined, not rehearsed. You've spent decades developing your sense of self. Your style should reflect that maturity, not mask it with youthful trends repackaged for the masses. The goal isn't to reject fun, but to redefine it. Choose patterns that feel thoughtful and deliberate, not loud for the sake of being seen. Evelyn later found a tea-length dress with delicate navy dots on a cream background. She wore it to her church luncheon and received more compliments than she had in years. "I didn't feel dressed up," she said. "I felt dressed right." That's the sweet spot, when your clothing feels like an extension of who you are, not a costume you're performing in. With polka dots, less is often more, and subtle elegance always speaks louder than oversized flair. 5. Multicolored and clashing prints. Color is powerful. It can uplift a mood, brighten a face, and bring energy into a room before a word is spoken. But when too many colors are packed into one outfit, especially in bold, clashing prints, the effect often becomes overwhelming rather than expressive. What begins as an attempt to look vibrant can easily cross into visual chaos. Geraldine, an outgoing 69-year-old from Atlanta, once adored her floral patchwork jacket. It had every shade imaginable: lime green, hot pink, turquoise, mustard, even flashes of neon orange. "I loved how happy it looked on the hanger," she explained. "But every time I wore it, I'd catch people staring, not at me, but at the jacket." It took her a while to realize the print wasn't framing her. It was distracting from her entirely. Multicolored prints can be fun, but when they feature too many competing hues, the eye doesn't know where to rest. The result is not only visual confusion but also a kind of imbalance. Rather than drawing attention upward to the face, where you want the focus, clashing colors can make the outfit feel disjointed, breaking the body into color blocks that flatten or distort the silhouette. It can also make an outfit appear busier, louder, or more chaotic than intended, which isn't always flattering as we mature. The goal is not to live in beige, but to become more intentional with how we use color. Stick to 2 or 3 harmonizing tones in any one outfit. Earthy palettes, sage green, dusty rose, burnt sienna, deep navy, often feel grounded and elegant. Jewel tones like emerald, plum, or sapphire also add depth and sophistication without overpowering your presence. You can still have contrast and interest, but in a way that lets your personality take center stage. Think of your outfit like a painting. The best compositions don't shout, they guide the eye with ease, letting each element serve a purpose. When you choose prints where the colors blend smoothly, not battle for dominance, you allow your natural beauty to shine. You create harmony, not competition. Geraldine eventually traded that patchwork jacket for a flowing tunic in soft teal with cream floral accents. "I still feel cheerful," she said, "but now people see me, not the pattern." And that's the lesson: clothing should complement who you are, not compete with it. Let color be your ally, not your disguise. 6. Excessive animal prints. Animal prints have always carried a certain boldness. There's a reason leopard, zebra, and snakeskin patterns have stood the test of time. They signal confidence, adventure, and flair. But like many powerful elements in fashion, they require balance. When used excessively or in oversized formats, these prints can shift from stylish to overwhelming, often aging the wearer rather than empowering them. I remember speaking with Diane, a 74-year-old who had always embraced daring fashion. Her closet held everything from leopard jackets to tiger-striped pants. "I earned the right to wear what I want," she told me, and she wasn't wrong. But even she started to notice that when she wore full animal print outfits, people saw the outfit first, and her second. "It's like they were bracing for something wild," she said with a laugh, and forgot there was just a woman underneath trying to have a nice lunch. That's the core issue. Large, aggressive animal prints, especially when worn head to toe, can easily tip into caricature. Instead of feeling confident, you may start feeling like the print is wearing you. It can make your overall look appear dated or loud, especially when combined with high contrast colors or flashy accessories. In later years, when subtlety and elegance speak volumes, bold animal prints can feel out of sync with the maturity and calm presence you've cultivated over decades. This doesn't mean you have to give them up entirely. In fact, when used sparingly, animal prints can be incredibly chic. A leopard scarf, zebra print belt, or snakeskin handbag can add just the right touch of personality and texture without overpowering your ensemble. The trick is to treat animal print like a spice, just enough to add flavor, but not so much that it drowns out the dish. Look for prints in muted tones, taupe, olive, soft gray, rather than the traditional bold browns and blacks. Choose pieces where the pattern is smaller and more refined. If you're wearing animal print on a blouse or skirt, balance it with neutral solids elsewhere. This way, the print becomes a stylish accent, not the main event. Diane eventually found her sweet spot. She kept her favorite leopard print flats and paired them with simple, cream-colored outfits. Now when I walk into a room, she said, people notice me and the shoes, in that order. And that's exactly the effect to aim for. Let animal prints show off your spark, not steal your spotlight. 7. Harsh black and white contrast. There's no denying the timelessness of black and white. For decades, the combination has been seen as sleek, sophisticated, and undeniably classic. But as we age, the stark contrast between black and white can become less forgiving. What once looked crisp can suddenly feel cold. What once felt elegant may now draw attention to features we'd rather soften. Consider Margaret, a retired attorney with a sharp eye for fashion. In her younger years, she built her wardrobe around clean, black and white pieces, power suits, bold striped blouses, tailored trousers. It was my armor, she once said. People listened when I wore black. But in her early 70s, something began to shift. She noticed that her favorite outfits didn't flatter her the way they used to. The black seemed too harsh against her skin. The white, too stark. I looked in the mirror, she recalled, and saw every shadow on my face. That's the subtle cruelty of high-contrast pairings in later life. As our skin tone naturally softens and our facial features lose some of their youthful fullness, strong black and white combinations can emphasize lines, deepen shadows, and create an unintentional tiredness. It's not that black or white are inherently unflattering, it's the contrast between them that draws the eye too sharply, leaving no room for grace or warmth. Instead, consider shifting toward softer contrasts. Replace bright white with ivory, cream, or soft blush. Swap out stark black for navy, charcoal, or rich chocolate brown. These shades still offer sophistication but with a gentler edge. They frame the face rather than harden it. They allow the natural glow of your complexion to shine through instead of casting it into shadow. Another helpful tip, when wearing black, keep it away from the face. A black skirt, trousers, or shoes can still anchor an outfit beautifully. Just pair them with a lighter top or scarf in a flattering hue to lift the eye and brighten your overall appearance. Margaret made that adjustment and never looked back. She traded her black and white jackets for soft navy paired with pearl gray and cream. The change was subtle but powerful. People kept asking if I'd been on vacation, she laughed. All I did was stop dressing like a courtroom. And that's the truth behind aging with style. It's not about giving up what you love. It's about evolving, finding the versions of classic looks that still support the warmth, depth, and dignity you carry today. 8. Large floral prints. Florals have always held a romantic place in fashion, soft petals, gentle colors, and the familiar comfort of something timeless. But like many things in our wardrobe, florals require care in how they're worn. Not every bloom flatters. Not every bouquet belongs on the body. And when it comes to large floral prints, the effect can sometimes be more overwhelming than elegant. I once met Caroline, a retired art teacher in her late 70s, known in her community for her love of color and creativity. Her closet was filled with dresses and bold floral patterns, enormous sunflowers, oversized roses, abstract blooms and shades that could be seen from across a room. I like to feel like a garden, she'd say. But during a family reunion, she wore a bright dress covered in dinner plate-sized peonies. When she saw the photos afterward, she sighed. The flowers looked beautiful. But where was I? That's the danger of large-scale floral prints. They can dominate your silhouette, drawing the eye to the fabric instead of your face. Massive blossoms tend to create imbalance, especially when placed across the bust, hips, or midsection. Instead of softening your frame, they can emphasize areas you may want to downplay, or worse, distort your natural shape altogether. The print becomes the center of attention, and you, somehow, become background. There's a better way. Look for smaller, tighter floral patterns in soft, watercolor tones or pastel hues. These offer movement and femininity without overpowering. Think of prints that whisper rather than shout, delicate vines, scattered petals, or florals that feel hand-painted. These patterns add depth and interest while still allowing your own features to shine. Fabric choice also matters. A heavy floral on stiff material can add bulk. But that same pattern, when printed on flowing fabrics like chiffon, silk, or soft cotton, moves with you and adds elegance instead of volume. Try florals with a bit of negative space in the design, where the print breathes, so it doesn't feel like it's covering every inch of fabric. Caroline eventually shifted toward a new style. She found a knee-length dress in light blue, sprinkled with soft, lilac-colored buds. The first time she wore it to her book club, someone said, "You look so refreshed." Caroline smiled and thought to herself, that's the word I've been missing, refreshed. And that's the true role of florals in later life. Not to decorate or distract, but to enhance the natural beauty already there. Because when a print complements rather than competes, it lets the most important part of your outfit come forward, you. 9. Wide horizontal stripes. Stripes are one of fashion's most enduring patterns. From nautical tops to tailored blouses, they've long been associated with clean lines and classic style. But not all stripes are created equal, and wide horizontal stripes in particular can be deceptively tricky, especially as we age. While they may seem harmless, even flattering in theory, they often do more harm than good when it comes to silhouette, proportion, and overall presence. Let's take the story of Linda, a 73-year-old retired nurse with a warm smile and a vibrant energy that fills any room. She had a striped sweater she adored, thick, alternating bands of cream and navy. "It made me feel cozy and modern," she said. But one afternoon, after seeing a photograph of herself at a family gathering, she hesitated. "I looked shorter. Wider. Like I was wearing a blanket with sleeves." That's the quiet trick wide horizontal stripes can play. They stretch the eye from side to side, creating the illusion of width. For those who are petite, or anyone hoping to maintain a more balanced shape, this can quickly throw off proportions. Stripes that are too thick can add bulk where there is none, especially across the midsection, hips, or arms. The result? A silhouette that feels heavier and less refined, even when the fabric itself is light. Now, that doesn't mean stripes should be banished from your closet. Far from it. The key lies in direction, scale, and placement. Vertical stripes are excellent for elongating the body and creating a graceful line. Even diagonal stripes can add visual interest while guiding the eye in a more flattering direction. If you prefer horizontal stripes, choose narrower bands in softer colors, ideally with gentle contrast, so they don't overpower your natural frame. Another trick? Use stripes intentionally. A blouse with vertical pinstripes can create the illusion of length in the torso, while a skirt with a diagonal stripe can subtly contour the hips. Look for clothing where the stripes follow the shape of the garment, rather than slicing across it without consideration for movement or form. Texture also plays a role. A ribbed knit with subtle striping can be far more forgiving than a flat, printed cotton. Linda eventually replaced her old sweater with a lightweight, long-line cardigan in muted gray with fine, vertical lines. She wore it to brunch with her friends and said, "I didn't just feel thinner, I felt taller, lighter. More me." That's the power of direction and scale when it comes to pattern. As with every element of fashion at this stage of life, it's not about rules, it's about refinement. You're not hiding who you are. You're dressing in a way that lifts your spirit, frames your beauty, and honors the years you've lived with grace. Conclusion. By the time we reach our later years, we've learned that style is no longer about following every trend or impressing every eye in the room. It's about something far deeper, dressing in a way that reflects our wisdom, honors our presence, and enhances the grace that life has sculpted into us over time. Clothing should never compete with who you are. It should work for you, lifting your features, softening your lines, and letting the real you shine through. When you choose prints and patterns with intention, you aren't just curating a wardrobe, you're telling the world, I know who I am, and I choose to show it with dignity. There's no shame in stepping away from neon shades, chaotic prints, or oversized florals if they no longer serve you. These aren't rules meant to restrict your creativity, they are gentle invitations to elevate it. Soft pastels, earthy tones, refined stripes, delicate florals, these are not signs of fading youth, but reflections of matured strength. They speak in quieter tones, but they resonate louder, longer, and with more clarity. Style is not about resisting age, it's about embracing it with elegance. Your wardrobe should mirror your essence, calm, capable, full of depth. Let your clothes highlight your kindness, your stories, your resilience. Let them frame your face, not distract from it. Let them carry the message you no longer need to say out loud, I've grown into myself, and I wear that truth proudly. So the next time you stand in front of your closet, pause. Not to wonder what looks youthful, but what feels powerful. Choose pieces that make you feel aligned, not disguised. You've earned the right to look and feel wonderful in your own skin, and the patterns you wear should echo that same beauty. Because fashion, at its best, isn't just about fabric or color. It's about celebrating the person wearing it. And at this stage in life, that person deserves nothing less than timeless, intentional, radiant style.